All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are tackling the real story of weight management. We're going to get into why that old advice to just eat less and move more doesn't always cut it, and what we can learn from people who have actually succeeded.
I mean, it's the big question, right? Why does weight loss feel like such a constant uphill battle? You feel like you're doing everything you're supposed to, but nothing. Or worse, the weight just comes right back. It's this super frustrating cycle, but what if I told you it's not entirely your fault? The advice we always hear is so simple. Eat less, move more. Easy enough. But that advice completely ignores the world we actually live in. The reality is, we're up against the modern food environment that's tricky, to say the least. And on top of that, we each have our own unique psychology. These things make that simple advice feel almost impossible sometimes. So first, let's talk about this modern weight problem, because it really isn't just about willpower. There's this massive external factor that has totally changed the game for all of us. And the main character in this story, a little something called ultra-processed foods, or UPFs for short. These things have kind of taken over our diets, and they're a huge driver of this whole problem. Okay, so what in the world are we even talking about when we say ultra-processed foods? What are they really? And just how much of this stuff are we actually eating? Let's decode it. Well, the scientific definition sounds pretty intense. UPFs are formulations mostly of cheap industrial sources of dietary energy and nutrients plus additives. So think stuff like frozen pizzas, sugary breakfast cereals, reconstituted meats. You get the idea. They're basically designed to be super convenient and taste amazing, but not necessarily to be nutritious. The best way to get this is to see it on a spectrum. A system called Novo breaks food into 4 groups. Group 1 is your totally unprocessed stuff: fruits, veggies, eggs. Group 2 is basic kitchen ingredients like oils, butter, or sugar. Group 3 is processed, think canned tuna or fresh bread. And then, all the way at the end, you have Group 4. That's the ultra-processed category. And here is where it gets absolutely wild. Just look at these numbers. In the United States, nearly 58% of all calories people eat come from these ultra-processed foods. 58%. In the UK, it's over half, and in Canada, it's 45%. We are literally fueling our bodies with this stuff. And the effect is not just a theory. A major study found that when people ate a diet full of ultra-processed foods, they just automatically ate about 500 more calories every single day, and they gained weight. This wasn't about willpower. The food itself actually caused them to overeat. Okay, so that's the problem. It's a big one. But let's pivot to the solution, because it's not all doom and gloom. We can learn a ton from the real experts here, the people who have actually lost weight and kept it off for the long haul. And that brings us to this amazing project called the National Weight Control Registry, or the NWCR. It's the biggest study of its kind, and it tracks thousands of people who've lost at least 30 pounds and kept it off for at least a year. You can think of it as the Hall of Fame for weight loss success. So what's the big secret they've uncovered from all these successful people? Well, here's the kicker. There is no single right way. The data shows that there are actually 4 totally different paths people take to get there. Let's start with the biggest group, which makes up just over half the people in the registry. We can call them the exercise faithful. These are the folks who probably fit the classic success story you've heard before. So this group relies a lot on physical activity. We're talking burning almost 3,000 calories a week through exercise. And it seems to work wonders for them. They tend to be stable in their weight, they report better mental health, and they're really happy with their results. For them, consistent exercise is key. Now, our second group is about 27% of the registry, and their journey looks completely different. These are the lifelong strugglers. For many in this group, weight has been a struggle since they were kids. They've tried the most things, different programs, even surgery. They say that keeping the weight off is the hardest for them, and they also deal with more psychological challenges. Their success is a story of pure, incredible persistence against a much tougher fight. Okay, this next group is fascinating. They make up almost 13% of the sample, and their story is really unique. Let's call them the first-time successes. Get this. These people succeeded on their very first serious try, and they've kept the weight off for the longest time on average, over 11 years. They also say it's the least difficult for them, and they were the most likely to have just done it on their own without any formal program.
And that brings us to our fourth and final path. They're about 10% of the registry, and honestly, they completely break the mold. These are the mindful eaters. This is the oldest group, on average. But here's the real shocker. They use way less physical activity. They only burn around 700 calories a week from exercise. So what's their secret? It's all about their diet. They eat fewer meals, and their diet is higher in fat and lower in carbs than the other groups. It just goes to show you, success is possible even without a crazy intense exercise routine. So, what's the big takeaway here? The crucial point is that there's no single magic formula. Success isn't one size fits all. It's all about finding a maintenance style that actually fits your life, your personal history, and your own psychology. When you put the four paths side by side, you can really see the differences. You've got the super active, exercise faithful on one end and the diet focused, mindful eaters on the other. In between, you have the incredible persistence of the lifelong strugglers and the almost effortless seeming journey of the first timers. Four totally different stories, but they all end in success. So, all of this leaves us with one final and really personal question. In this world that's just full of foods designed to make us overeat, and knowing that a successful journey can look so different for everyone, which of these paths could be a guide for you? What could your story of success look like?